Planet Char. A desolate and dead world made of ash, sulfuric rock, cavernous hollows, and a massive fortified Decepticon base, from which the mighty Galvatron expands his empire. After the Battle of Unicron, the Decepticons mustered together on this planet as a fallback position to regroup, having lost Cybertron to the Autobots. At the time, it looked as if it would be the graveyard of them all. But the return of Galvatron rallied and inspired the Decepticons, leading them to mobilize and make their headquarters upon the ruin of this world, all to rebuild the glory of the Decepticon name across the universe. Galvatron's rule over the Decepticons from his throne here is done with a sterner iron fist than Megatron ever used. He would never again allow another Starscream to rise up and hinder his own ambitions of conquest and be a thorn in his side. Thus, the abuse he inflicted on his men, which created a certain resentment among a few of the Decepticons, the kind of resentment the loyal Cyclonus spent a great deal of his time trying to contain and keep from escalating into an all-out rebellion. But also the kind of resentment a violent, rage-inducing virus, such as this hate plague, could amplify, spurring a hostile uprising. As Galvatron witnessed the crazed effects of the hate plague on the Autobots, seeing it begin to quickly infect his own troops, the narcissistic megalomaniac realized almost instantly that it wouldn't be long before his own Decepticons would be uninhibited enough to come right for him. Therefore, even with Rodimus and Optimus both in his sights, his two mortal enemies, he gave no mind or care for them, taking off to make his way as far from the Earth as he could. But the spread of the virus found its way even to Char, where we find poor old Galvatron being harrowed along by his own huntsman, the Sweeps. After taking no end of abuse from him, I imagine the first thing their rage-filled minds thought to do was seek retribution against their mighty leader. Galvatron continues to outmaneuver them, barely able to stay one step ahead, but it's enough to give him a moment to strike back. The thing about the Sweeps, though, they just keep coming. Galvatron realizes even taking down several of them won't deter the rest.
It's no use! You're all crazed!
As he slips away to cover, he finds himself attacked from a different Decepticon group.
Have I no friends left?
He turns around to find the dreaded Combiner Predaking, having hunted Galvatron into a corner. Even as Galvatron moves to fearlessly confront Predaking, his two most loyal lieutenants, Cyclonus and Scourge, step out from behind Predaking. One interesting thing about hate is what a unifying force it can be, though by its toxic nature, the kind of unity that hate can sometimes bring is as unsustainable as it is unhealthy. However, in the case of the Decepticons, they all seem to somewhat hate and resent Galvatron to some degree, even the two closest allies he has amongst his men. For them, they find common purpose in this, even with the crazed haze of this virus infecting their minds. With all the Decepticons coming after Galvatron, it's amazing he's made it this far, this long. Truly, it stands as a testament that he is, in fact, that powerful, cunning, and destructive. And it begs the question, How many of his own Decepticons has he already single-handedly taken out of commission as he evades the infections of the hate plague? At this time, it's unsurprising that only the toughest and most dangerous Decepticons, such as the Predacons, Scourge, and Cyclonus, remain standing.
Well, what have we here? Looks like something the cat dragged in.
Galvatron takes cover, ready to fight his way out once more, being out of options and out of allies. Or so he thought. Coming up over the horizon is a cavalry full of the last beings Galvatron expected to come to his aid. Autobots. And on top of that, he can hardly believe who is leading this charge. Cyclonus sure seems happy to see them,
Autobots!
if for no other reason than to delight in their inevitable destruction. All things considered, Cyclonus seems far more clear-headed than most of the infected Transformers. This seems to infer a great strength of character in Cyclonus, as misguided as he is, that even in the madness of the hate plague, he's somewhat in control of himself. Still tactical and shrewd, this infection only making him that much more dangerous. As Cyclonus and the Predacons turn to face the Autobots in their approach, Galvatron reflects on the strangeness of his current circumstances.
Autobots are trying to save me! What madness is this?
Surely, Galvatron must feel this entire universe has gone completely bonkers. But this band of Autobots, he could have sworn that they were being led by...
Galvatron! It's Optimus Prime! Can you hear me?
Optimus! How is it possible that you live?
No time to explain now! We must team together to save ourselves!
I have no choice. Very well, Optimus! We combine forces! For now.
Usually seeing his arch-nemesis back from the dead, not to mention coming to his own rescue, would cause Galvatron to rage in both anger and confusion. But he seems to be burnt out on all the recent insanity he's seen. So his reaction to seeing Optimus Prime again is rather... accepting. Cup asks the obvious question that has to be asked.
Think we can trust him?
Optimus doesn't even hesitate answering, as he regards the former Megatron fighting in this new form imbued by Unicron.
No, but what choice have we?
Galvatron weaves his way to the Autobot's position, just managing to evade the bombardment his own men throw at him. As one round explodes near him just as he reaches Prime, who grabs him, pulling him into cover. This wouldn't be the first time these two have temporarily combined forces for a common goal, but it was always a tense and exciting alliance. Especially when you consider that the last time they met, they basically killed each other. Galvatron really only surviving due to his deal with the devil. Cyclonus seems to reason that the Autobots, teaming up with Galvatron, will require more energy and strategy to defeat than attacking head-on, if that truly is the legendary Optimus Prime with them. He orders the Decepticons to retreat for now.
They'll be back as soon as they recharge. Follow me!
Optimus knows that Galvatron, that Megatron, can only be trusted so far, and for so long. Yet he allows him to take the lead. As they enter a nearby cave, Galvatron abruptly stops and turns around. Optimus is keeping both eyes on him, ready for anything. Galvatron transforms into his cannon mode and points it right at the other Autobots, who fortunately move quickly out of the line of fire as Galvatron shoots a large blast into the ceiling, rocks caving in to block the entrance. One wonders if Galvatron would have still fired even if Cup, Goldbug, and the rest hadn't moved. Galvatron assures them he did this for their safety, in a rather taunting tone.
We'll be safe here for a while.
He gets down to business, wanting to know what Optimus Prime, back from the dead, is doing in Decepticon Central in the midst of all this chaos. He simply but firmly asks,
Why are you on Char?
You are in possession of a precious metal, which holds the key to the cure for this horrible plague. Without it, we will all be destroyed.
So, you need the metal.
Galvatron is certainly intrigued by this idea, curious what Optimus Prime has in mind, but seems content to cooperate, knowing the journey he must guide the Autobots along could prove entertaining, if nothing else.
Very well. I'll take you to it.
Jessica Morgan is definitely picking up a bad vibe off this Decepticon, and can see the looks on the faces of Cup and Blaster both, as they eye Galvatron with distrust and disgust alike.
Can he be trusted?
Not for an instant.
Cup was there the day that Galvatron, then Megatron, used deceit and betrayal to take down Optimus Prime. Now that Optimus was back, he was determined not to let this son of a scraplip pull those same tricks.
Be warned, though, this is not an easy trek.
They journey past boiling acidic pools and along narrow stone expanses, the road long enough that the Autobots decide to drive it in vehicle mode, at least for a time. As Skylynx remains somewhere behind, covering their rear, in case Cyclonus and the other Decepticons manage to follow them. Up steep cliffs they climb, moving along until they come to a foreboding ravine bridged by an ominous-looking petrified webbing. Goldbug, in a classic Bumblebee fashion, seems more astounded by this sight than afraid.
Wow. The path is clear. Let's hurry.
The reaction from Optimus is great. He turns towards Galvatron, and you can tell he's wondering, the path is clear. From what? Even with his iconic faceplate covering his expression. The eerie feeling of this web-like bridge, along with Galvatron's tone, finally settle an uneasiness in Goldbug.
I don't like this.
Following behind Galvatron, it doesn't take long until the group draws the attention of the creature who calls this webbing home. As if he was expecting it, Galvatron immediately takes off into the air and adopts a taunting tone with his Autobot allies.
Oh my! It looks like I was wrong!
The Autobots turn in alarm, as we hear Jessica exclaim in shock,
A spider!
as this enormous and terrifying arachnid moves swiftly at them. The Autobots gingerly step with their large metal legs, carefully finding their footing on the unstable, spanning formation. Galvatron feigns surprise, gleefully acting shocked at their helpless situation.
Autobots can't fly!
Many Autobots who could fly had apparently transitioned away from that highly energy-consuming ability, preferring to roll for it. Unless they already had an alternate mode more suited to the aerodynamics of Earth's thick atmosphere.
Holy halogen illuminator! Have no fear, Skyfire's here!
Of course, the Decepticons never cared about consuming vast amounts of energy to maintain their own superiority, and were already more proficient and advanced at the practice of flying anyway.
After them! Save it, Ironhide. They're too fast for us in the air. Well, I'm tired of sucking their vapor trail. I'll stop them. Ironhide, come back!
This distinct advantage was not lost on Galvatron, who used this opportunity to exploit the Autobots in their deficiencies, if only to watch them squirm for a bit. As the ground crumbles under Cup, he begins to fall, only quickly being caught by the ever-nimble Blur.
Thanks, Blur. I'll remember this.
Don't mention it. It was really nothing. You don't have to thank me. Any self-respecting Autobot would have done the same thing, so don't worry about thanking me. It was nothing.
Goldbug is unable to escape the approach of this monster, being ensnared in its tentacles as it draws him in towards his mandibles. Optimus and Blaster, from a steadier position, fire their weapons, repeatedly blasting the monster, who releases Goldbug in shock and falls into the dark depths below. Goldbug nearly follows him down as the petrified webbing gives way beneath him, but Optimus Prime rapidly dives to catch him, pulling his old and dear friend up to safety. Blur and Cup, who have just made it across the way with Jessica Morgan, observe Prime's heroic feat. Just as Galvatron lands next to them, not even the tiniest bit ashamed of his gestury.
You set us up!
Don't be absurd! I was ready to help, but I knew you didn't need me. Come along!
This small band of Autobots stare incredulously as they watch Galvatron fly off. There's only so much more they can stomach of this megalomaniac and his deceptions.
Forget it, Cup. It's the mission that's important now.
Even as Prime says this to soothe his troops, you can tell he's also about had it with Galvatron. There's a thick air of tension while continuing on together, Optimus and Galvatron walking side by side in silence. Finally, Galvatron breaks the silence, cutting through the tension with an honest curiosity belied by his sneering tone.
Come on, Optimus, tell me. Why do you want this metal? How will it be used? Why is it so precious?
I've explained it to you.
There was no way Optimus was going to tip his hand any further with this fiend than he had to.
You told me it was important, but you didn't tell me why.
That's because I know you too well, Galvatron.
As both components of Skylinks catch up to the group, they continue along swiftly, having been warned that Decepticons had broken through and were closing in. However, there was one more hazard awaiting them.
Galvatron! They are sucking the very energon from us! Destroy them!
Oh, all right!
It would take great restraint on Galvatron's part to not fire full blast at them. Yet he does show a level of control and proficiency, not to mention a small bit of trust from everyone else, as he is able to burn away these leeches with his cannon. This does give a chance for the encroaching Cyclonus and Predaking to close in on the group. Most of the Autobots, low on energy from the leeches, are unable to recover fast enough to move, and are themselves infected with hate plague spores. All of them save Optimus, Jessica, Skylinks, and Galvatron. Optimus feels helpless to do anything for Goldbug, Cup, and the rest, yet he's still hesitant to leave them behind with the Decepticons. Yet he knows the fate of the universe rests on the success of this mission.
We have to get out of here! Galvatron, which way?
This way. But first...
Galvatron once more turns into his powerful cannon mode, blasting the ceiling enough to block the way, and presumably all of their would-be attackers. Or at least, all but one. They arrive at a gigantic and armored vault, with a door seemingly impregnable. Walking through the inside, Optimus is both unsurprised and astonished at the spoils of Decepticon conquest he sees haphazardly heaped within. Jessica walks through next to Prime, and despite the myriad of amazing items inside, she has eyes scanning for one precious product in particular. But Galvatron's patience has run out. He demands to know exactly how Optimus intends to use this advanced heat-resistant metal before revealing its exact location to him.
Now, tell me what the cure is and how the metal is used to make it.
You'll learn soon enough, Galvatron.
Now, I don't think Optimus ever intended to outright deceive Galvatron. He never does lie to him during this time. But especially after seeing Galvatron delight in the peril he led Optimus and his team into on the way to this vault, he knew Galvatron couldn't be relied on to help protect anything except himself. Even if Optimus used this metal to insulate both he and Galvatron, recruiting his help to restrain Rodimus Prime and recover the Matrix from him, he couldn't trust Galvatron to not simply kill Rodimus Prime in the process. All Optimus could do was deflect Galvatron's requests to be in on these plans. But the eagle-eyed Jessica Morgan can't help but get excited as she finally spots this miraculous metal that she and her father, in Gregory too, had created before the Decepticons stole it.
Tell me, or you'll never get what you need.
We haven't much time.
This is it! There's enough here to coat you and make you impervious, Optimus!
Jessica is a great scientist and a loyal, courageous friend, but espionage is not one of her talents.
So, you plan to coat yourself with it. Who's the fool now, Optimus?
Oh no.
I don't need you anymore, Optimus. So much for your resurrection.
You jerk! He's trying to save us all!
It really is brave of her to jump between Galvatron and Optimus Prime like this. Optimus uses the distraction to employ one of his oldest and most tried and true tactics, knocking the cannon off Galvatron's arm. He learned long ago you should always go for the cannon arm. Galvatron is livid, smacking away Jessica in anger and making a go at his cannon, but not before the nearby Skyleaks can, almost casually, pick it up first and aim it right at Galvatron's face. Not many Autobots have the strength or skill to handle the raw power of this weapon. But for one such as Skylinks' skill and strength, wielding such a brutish and inelegant weapon is nothing after all. Optimus, having made sure Jessica was okay, praises his lieutenant commander for his quick thinking and expert actions.
Good work, Skylegs.
Now we're going to put you to work.
After Optimus transforms, manifesting his trailer to use as a cargo hold for Galvatron to reluctantly load the metal into, Galvatron does as he's told, waiting for an opportunity to turn the tables. Yet one lone infected Decepticon stealthily sneaks his way into the vault. With the spores of this virus afflicting his mind, the disciplined warrior Cyclonus has two simple, somewhat conflicting thoughts. Destroy everything in sight and continue to spread and propagate these spores. Cyclonus goes to the smallest and most helpless of them first. Jessica is infected instantly, the hate plague burning through even her exosuit. Galvatron notices this, alarmed as he sees Cyclonus inside the vault, and moves to take matters into his own hands. Cyclonus, facing the end of Galvatron's barrel at close range, bids him not to destroy, but to succumb to the empowerment, the freedom, the ecstasy that this virus infuses.
Join us, Galvatron. Join us now.
Galvatron is disgusted at the very thought of this offer and responds to Cyclonus' demands accordingly.
Ah, you worthless piece of slag!
Rearmed and taking down Cyclonus, Galvatron begins to fire at the Autobots as well, determined not to let them take what is his by right of conquest. As usual, though, he underestimates humans, barely noticing Jessica, whose own clouded mind compels her to give this plague to Galvatron. Even as she does, he realizes his grave mistake in overlooking her.
It's too late, Galvatron.
If Optimus and Skylynx could save Jessica themselves, they would. But doing so would infect them both and dash any hope of finding a cure for the universe. They leave quickly, even with Jessica diving after them to spread this nefarious plague to them. But now they have the metal. They have the key to the next step in their plan. Making a hasty exit up and out of these caverns, Skylynx transforms to shuttle mode, and he and Optimus Prime head back to Earth at top speed. Back within the bunker at Metroplex, we find the Quintesson helping to process and refine this miracle metal. Using the repair and repainting facilities of Metroplex to spray a coating of this radiation-resistant alloy over every single exposed piece of Optimus Prime, turning his preferred red, white, and blue coloring to a shining silvery finish. Perhaps they could cover Skylynx too, if they had enough time to refine more metal, but its properties made it difficult and time-consuming. And time was not on their side. Every second that ticked by increased the horrors, the violence, the atrocities occurring all over the Earth and across the galaxy. It was up to Optimus Prime, now a gleaming white knight, to find and face the berserker Rodimus Prime, clad in the crimson of the hate plague, yet still carrying the Autobot matrix of leadership. It is the one thing, the only thing, that can help Optimus find a cure. He knows he must convince an enraged Rodimus to give it back, or take it from him by force if necessary. Either way, it's going to take at least a little energon and a lot of luck.